Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another beautiful podcast. And this time we have the lady who rules the interior space, and her name is Aarti Lakhwani. Now, Aarti has been in Dubai for a very long time, and she has worked with various residential and commercial projects, and she's really helped them bring to life. I personally witnessed so many places that she's done the interiors of and so on. I'm so happy to have her with us. Aarti, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Diksha. I'm good, considering the circumstances. But good otherwise, and happy to be here.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Okay, so Aarti, when I first heard of the term blended spaces, I was like, what kind of a name is this? And how did you come up with such a unique, different name? Obviously, you named it when we didn't have ChatGPT and all that. So how did you come up with this name?
The reason I kept the name as blended spaces was because it was about mixing different styles and different stories and sort of putting them together to make them work. So to take a client's personal stories and then understand the requirements and blending the two together to bring about a place that's beautiful and practical. Yeah.
Very nice. Very interesting. So, Aarti, in every interior designer's life, there is one moment which is like a defining moment. Like, yes, I think I need to design, or, this is my passion. Firstly, tell me, what did you study? What did you study in school and university?
So I was a humanities student. I was very into literature and languages. I did German literature, I did Italian and Russian languages, I did Russian literature, I was doing courses on Dostoevsky and Kafka and just whatever I loved.
Yes.
So I think interior design was never something that was
on top of your list.
No, not at all. I always loved interiors. I always loved furniture, and I was forever helping friends and family do up their homes. And I think that's how I organically went into this as a career, because they were like, you're so good at this and you seem to love it. It's something that makes you so happy. So why don't you think about it as a profession? And I think by the time this was happening, my son was 8. And I was like, okay, he's old enough. I can now finally focus on a full-time career. And this truly does make me happy. And I also think I'm good at it. So I think that was just, how it happened, and we just sort of dived into it, and I made a page on Instagram, and I started posting pictures of my own home and pictures of friends and family's homes. And I think within a few months, I had my first paying client from Instagram.
Wow.
Just sort of took off from there.
Yeah. Well, that's very interesting, because usually people get their first paying clients from, networking and so on, but getting one from Instagram is huge.
I know, that was a big thing.
Yeah.
I charged very less. It was my first one, and I didn't want to lose it. And it was not coming from word of mouth; it was coming from social media.
And that's it feels very special, and it's like so very validating.
It was. She had seen pictures of somebody's house that I'd done, and also some stuff that I posted on my Insta page. But yeah, that's just how it happened.
What do you like about this field the most?
I think first of all, I am creative. So I think there's something in me which just gets very excited at creating something, So when, to visualize what a space is going to look like, and then to actually work towards making it look exactly as it was in my head or in the client's head, it's a very satisfying feeling. And it's for somebody who loves putting together things and seeing the final picture. It's a joyous moment.
I agree.
So I think it gives me a lot of happiness. I think that's why
That's why you do it. So Aarti, usually when people hire interior designers, they have a lot of questions in their mind, and quite a few of them just judge them by Instagram or Pinterest pictures.
Yeah.
So what is one common misconception for hiring them that you would like to, shed light on?
So, one thing that we face, and I think all of us premium interior designers face, one problem is that clients assume that by hiring a premium interior designer, we would be making them spend a lot of money, or that it would be costing a bomb, or we'd definitely be going over budget. And I think that's completely untrue, because I think we know where to spend and where to save.
Correct.
So if the client has given us a budget, then there may be a couple of high impact areas, like it could be a marble TV unit, or it could be their dining table, or just a couple of, maybe it could be their bar, or some kind of lighting, or something. It could be some area which we feel is going to be your focal point, and we may ask you to spend, or rather invest in that area. But then we will save the money somewhere else. We would get cheaper, say, sofas, or we would get cheaper curtains, and we'd still make it look good. So it would come together looking very luxurious and high-end.
Sure.
And it would not cross the budget at all. So, yeah.
So I guess it's a mix of everything that plays, a part there. So Aarti, now we see these lovely Instagram trends.
Yeah.
There's this thing about using a lot of grays in your room and all that.
Yeah.
At one point in time, it was like about using those bold furniture pieces and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think that clients are more now inclined towards going to, following this Instagram trends and so on? Or do they still prefer timeless interiors and classic ones, the age-old things, जो चल रही हैं, वो सुंदर ही लगेंगी and so on?
I think that, like you spoke about trends, I think there was, until maybe even 2 years ago, this thing where everybody is going for Scandinavian design, or Japandi, which is a mix of Japanese and Scandi, or even like absolutely minimalistic, all white and things like that. I mean, some people are still doing it, but I think mostly people have moved towards something we call quiet luxury,
right?
Which is investing in good pieces.
Correct.
Or rather, I wouldn't necessarily say expensive, but quality pieces, let's put it that way, which will last them for a long time, and which will not change with every season,
Correct.
So definitely, I'd say we're moving more towards timeless design.
Sure.
And towards comfort, and towards practicality as well. So definitely.
Okay, and I also think that one of the biggest challenges you would be overcoming on a daily basis is this whole issue between what looks good and what works for the client. What's functional.
Yeah.
The client may come and say that, listen, I need a wall here, I need a shelf here, and so on, all of that. And it may look very messy.
Yeah.
And the opposite is also true.
Yeah.
Something, maybe you may need to put it there, but it may not look that, actually it may not be up to what the client wants.
Or it may not fit into the whole aesthetic that we've thought of, right?
How do you balance aesthetic, tones and functionality when you're designing interiors?
So Diksha, my job is to work with each client's vision. Everyone has a particular idea of what they want their home or their forever home to look like.
Correct.
So technically, if I feel that something is not matching the aesthetic that they have, say, picked out from Pinterest or whatever, that they want for their living room or the entire home, then I would have to be honest, but at the same time without hurting the client's feelings. And I would also have to somehow incorporate what they want. It may not be in the exact space they want, but I would try to somehow put it in somewhere. So, for example, I have a client who's now a very good friend who had invested in a Damien Hirst painting.
Right.
And she was insisting. Now, the Damien Hirst, if you know, is a
It's
painter.
huge.
So he's an artist who's very, very colorful.
Sure.
And we were working towards doing an area which was more beige, which was using high-end marble, some brass. So we had a lot of statement pieces and a lot of different textures already. And putting a Damien Hirst, right next to her bar, in my opinion, was like a no-no. So instead of, putting it there, I recommended she put it in her bedroom. And she was perfectly happy to do that because she just loves the piece. And it's next to her bed where she's seeing it a lot more than she would in the living room, you know.
Of course.
So we work around it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think the client has to be satisfied.
Sure.
So I do have to, and I do end up going along
with what the client needs.
With what the client wants and needs.
They have to stay in it, right?
Without being rude or without being offensive.
Correct.
But yet giving in my input. That this is what I think will look good.
Right.
However, if this is what you really need, then we'll work around it.
Very nice. Very nice. Aarti, on an average, how many places do you design in a year, for example?
I don't do more than 3 or maximum 4 projects at one time.
Right.
And I would say on an average, each project lasts about, some could be 2 months, some could be 4 months. But let's take an average of 3 months.
Yes.
So you'd be looking at about maximum 14 to 15 in a year.
Right.
I'm not able to do more than that. Because I'm very, very involved.
Right.
And I prefer to be on site and do everything myself to a large extent and to interact with the client very regularly. So I think that I can only give a lot of time if I don't take on too much work.
Right. Makes sense. And tell me, I mean, just one example of a challenging project that you have worked on. What was the brief? What went wrong? And how did you fix things?
So I think all my projects have been challenging. I don't think I've had any project which has been like super easy, unless it's not the client's home and it's like a space they want designed for Airbnb purposes. Because when it's not theirs to live in, then they're very open about, you know, the interior designer's suggestions, right? But yeah, like I think most projects are challenging, and I think to give you an example, there have been a lot of cases, because I'm primarily a residential interior designer. We're talking about dealing with families. Now, in families, you could talk about 2 people, 4 people, 6 people, 8 people, okay, who all have a different vision for what they want their home to look like. So while for their own bedrooms, you can give them whatever they want, for the shared spaces like the living room, the TV room, the dining room, the family area, you know, the kitchen, things like that. I mean, I actually have to incorporate something from everybody. So I think that can be a little bit challenging. A lot of the times family members are not even staying in the country. So it's possible that the parents are here, but the kids are working abroad and they're just only coming home once in 6 months.
Correct.
So I've had a lot of cases where I've had to, and happily so, but I've had to speak to people in different time zones of all ages, you know, and try to understand how I can sort of maybe blend, as you say, blended spaces. So maybe blend in their visions or their ideas or their requirements with their parents or with their children or with their grandparents or whatever, you know. I think those have been some of the challenges that I faced.
Right.
But like I said, I love my work. And it's all good.
Because, you know, see, from what I'm imagining, it's going to be such an immersive experience, right? You know, when you're actually working on a project and you are, there's something from each member of the family that's a part of the interiors, and when it all comes together, they at least feel that belongingness. Na, ye meri wali cheez hai, ye meri sun ke ye kiya gaya, and you know.
I understand it completely because I've been through it. I think when I was doing up my house, I don't think my husband, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, or I were on the same page at all. So I can totally relate.
Right.
But like I do for them, I did the same way for us. And we did work it out and we came up with a beautiful house. So, you know, I mean, it can happen.
It can happen.
You just have to, navigate your way through everything and put things together, and it works. It works out.
So happy. So, Aarti, we're in this phase where, unfortunately, there are a lot of people who have lost jobs there, and even, you know, people who have vacated houses and have gone. It's a very uncertain situation. Okay. And there are obviously a bunch of people who are finding it hard to rent out their properties and to do other similar things in terms of selling properties as well. how do you think they can make their spaces more rentable or sellable? How should they navigate the situation?
As an interior designer, I would say that we can definitely be of help to them in the way that, say somebody, I mean, I understand, yes, there are properties that are vacant, there are properties that people are trying to sell, but the market may not be as wow as before. So in such a case, we could help with staging a property, so when a client walks into a beautifully set up home as opposed to a completely empty, soulless space, of course, you're more tempted to buy. So that is one thing that would attract a buyer, right? Also, when it comes to rentals, so a lot of people come to Dubai for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe for a contract. Their company sent them for 3 years. I think in such a case, they're not all looking to invest in furniture. So I think sometimes it really becomes a lot easier to rent it out a place, an apartment or a villa, which is already furnished. So in such a case, we can help you furnish your apartment or whatever in a very, very budget-friendly way, which is also really beautiful, and is not compromising on the look. And I think that makes it very attractive for somebody who's just come in here for a short time.
Yes.
So yeah, so these are the ways in which we can help people, sell or rent.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Aarti, apart from work, who are you beyond blended spaces?
Good question. I think I'm somebody who loves nature, who loves traveling to the mountains, not to the beach. Let's be very clear on that. There are either mountain people or beach people. I'm a mountain person.
Correct.
I love music. I love singing in the bathroom, of course, but still. And I'm just somebody who can get high on chai. So that's definitely one more element about me that you should know.
Right. So you don't need alcohol. You just need tea to get high.
I just need chai.
That's good. And how do your friends describe, if your friends were to think, अरे आरती कैसी है, तो आरती exactly उनके हिसाब से कैसी है?
If my friends had to describe me in 3 words, I think the common words would be sincere, artistic, and I'd say humorous. But my husband, if he was asked, would definitely add stubborn to the list.
So Aarti, I'm in here for a quick rapid fire. I'm going to be asking you some questions, and you need to tell me what you think of those. Okay. Sure. Number 1, let's get going. Minimalistic or maximalistic?
I'm not a maximalist. I'm not a complete minimalist. I know this is rapid fire. I think I'm somewhere in the middle.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Neutral tones or bold colors?
Neutral tones with pops of bold color.
Right. Marble or wood?
Very tough choice. If I had to pick, then marble.
Interesting. Open kitchen or closed?
Definitely closed.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of an open kitchen, so.
Okay. Interesting. Mood lighting or natural lighting?
For me, natural lighting. Skylight, windows, natural lighting for sure.
Statement sofas or statement chandeliers?
Statement chandeliers.
Yeah, I think they really lift the room.
I think so.
Yeah. Pinterest or Instagram?
So Pinterest or Instagram? Definitely Pinterest.
Okay.
Definitely Pinterest.
Pinterest or instinct?
Pinterest with instinct.
Okay.
Because I think that Pinterest is great to pick ideas from.
Yeah.
But we don't just copy from Pinterest, right? Like it's just an inspiration that we're taking.
Right.
At the end of it, it's all our instinct.
Sure.
So yeah.
I agree with that. Okay. So I'm giving you 60 seconds and you need to tell me the 5 things that you absolutely want in your dream living room.
Natural light, which could be, just windows all over or skylight, or like I said, I love natural light.
1.
Statement dining table.
Okay. 2.
Okay.
What else?
A lot of greenery.
Right.
For sure. So greenery outside, greenery inside, all sizes and shapes of plants.
Right.
That's
3.
The third one.
Yeah.
Very, very sort of comfortable sofas. I think the idea for me is not to have just a formal space that looks wow. I should be able to sink into that sofa at the end of the day, with my child, with my husband, with my family, whatever. So it has to be somewhere I can spend time with my family without worrying कि oh shit, एक scratch lag gaya.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And 5, one more weed.
Large artwork. So like big, bold paintings. So the sofas, the basic stuff would be neutral, but we'd have to add color through large, bold, maybe red or, yellow or whatever artwork. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Yay! You've done a good job. Thank you. So for my final question, Aarti, today if you weren't an interior designer, what would you be doing?
That's a very good question. I personally think I would be organizing very high-end vacations, which would be somewhere, mountain vacations, let's put it like that.
Right.
And I've actually discussed this with a friend. If I ever had to have a backup, it would definitely be organizing these getaways, which would have to do with yoga or cooking or meditation or but something in the mountains, like somewhere in Tuscany where you stay in a castle and you get to do all these natural things.
Yes.
In the midst of nature. So I think that's definitely what my second go-to thing would be.
Amazing. Good to know. Well, Aarti, it was great having you with us. I think we got a lot of insights about blended spaces, the kind of work you do and so on. And I would recommend everybody who's watching this podcast to please reach out to Aarti. She is great with her work and she'd love to recreate your spaces and help you become more sellable, rentable in the long run. Thank you so much, Aarti.
Thank you, Diksha. It's great being here. Thank you.